What are the consequences of destroying virgin forests? Look, these mercenaries are flying helicopters, dropping bombs wantonly, destroying the island forests, just because scientists want to measure the topography of this island. However, this annoyed the owner of the island, our great King Kong from Skull Island. He used the whole tree as a javelin, then threw to one helicopter. The other hand grabbed another helicopter. Soldiers were thrown out. He was eaten alive by King Kong as a sashimi. The rest of the team also spotted the beast. The war is about to break out. Soldiers controlled helicopters and continuously fired at King Kong. Bullets could not cause any harm to the thick-skinned King Kong. Kong took down a helicopter with a left hook. People on the ground who wanted to rescue were also crushed by Kong's feet. Kong charged towards the helicopter, shooting at him. A gorilla jumping. Two helicopters collided head-on. The helicopter team was destroyed one by King Kong. Lots of members are dead. Captain Nick and King Kong finally met. After took down all the helicopters, King Kong did not kill all the other survivors. What is the reason behind this group of mercenaries invaded Kong's territory? It turned out that a few months ago, Monarch Organization discovered an unknown island located in the southern Pacific. It is called Skull Island. Some ships and planes passing there have vanished mysteriously. The Monarch Organization wants to investigate the truth. Soon, they hired a pair of elite troops to assist in the mission. The captain is Nick. A retired veteran of the former Special Air Service were also invited. His name is James Conrad. He has plenty of wilderness survival skills and tracking skills. Accompanying them was the tracking photographer Mason Weaver. All personnel have assembled. People passed through a huge storm cloud, arrived at Skull Island without any danger. Then the scene at the beginning of the video happened. Surviving team members scattered in all directions on the island. Nick deployed the battle plan via the walkie-talkie. Survivors move uniformly towards the crash site where weapons are stored. However, King Kong is not the only giant beast on the island. When they were walking through a bamboo forest, a team member took a break and drank water. Just when he looked up, as if he saw something horrified. When the others looked back at him, he was killed by a bamboo tree piercing through his mouth. Everyone looked up. Bamboo turned out to be legs of a giant spider. Upon seeing this, the team members opened fire one after another. The giant spider spitted out its tentacles downwards, grabbing a soldier and pulling him up. Team members did not dare to shoot upward again, so they pulled out the sharp knives and chopped at the spider leg. The spider lost its balance and fell to the ground. Nick stepped forward and shot the giant spider in the head. At this moment, he only has hatred for all creatures on the island. A lonely soldier on the other side was washing the wound in the water. Kong came with a leisurely pace, like it wanted to say, "I'm here to clean my wounds too." The little solider was so scared that he immediately hid behind a rock. Kong was about to take a drink of water, suddenly discovered something. He grabbed it directly out of the water with one hand. A giant octopus is pulled out of the water with its tentacles. Then more tentacles stretched out and wrapped around Kong. Kong tried to step on the octopus head to crush it. Got free dinner delivered to his door. Kong immediately started feasting. He also packed some up and took them away. The little soldier was left with a frightened and hungry look on his face. On James's side, he set off with Mason and scientist team. Along the way, they also saw other giant beasts on the island. But luckily, they only met a gentle giant water buffalo. While walking, they bumped into each other by mistake, broke into the primitive tribe on the island. Just when two sides were about to get into a fight, an old man with a white beard ran out and spoke English fluently. It turned out that the old man was also a soldier. He was on a battle 28 years ago. His plane crashed here, so he has been living here, and told Mason and the others the story of Skull Island. People of primitive tribes serve Kong as their patron saint. Then why did King Kong attack humans? It turned out to be there is a terrifying creature living under Skull Island, known as skull crawlers. They are cruel and bloodthirsty. In order to protect the young Kong, his parents died while fighting those lizards, but managed to bury them underground. Dropping bombs will definitely wake up those giant lizards underground. Kong can deal with the small skull crawlers, but if an adult one comes out, Kong is more dangerous than good. No wonder King Kong was so angry. Mason told the old man, in the next 3 days, the supply team will meet them at the southern pole of the island. They hope the old man can help. The old man said that they could not reach the south of the island in 3 days. There are also unknown creatures ambushing you along the way, unless something goes wrong. The old man said that the cabin of his scratch plane was still there. Maybe it can be used as a boat if modified. Everyone hit it off immediately. Start the modification task. After refitting the boat, everyone bade farewell to the primitive tribe and headed south. The old man also said goodbye to the place where he had lived for 28 years. Set off with Mason and the others. They also contacted Nick and the others on the way. So the two teams met at a creek. Mason asked Nick and the others to head south together and meet up with the supply team. And Nick said, There was still one survivor in the west that need to be rescued. When the old man heard they must go to the west, he was shocked, because the west is where the skullcrawlers often hangs out. But no one could bear Nick's insistence. Everyone can only go to the west. But what they don't know is, the surviving team member has died. Those lizards are dominant in the west area. White bones seen everywhere made people shudder. 2 of the giant skeletons resemble humanoids. They must be Kong's parents. The air was filled with flammable gases rising from the ground. A cigarette caused an explosion. The sound of monsters was heard after that. Everyone scattered and looked for cover. Soon the skullcrawlers got out their nests and began to search for prey. When everyone thought that lizards were far away and prepared to evacuate, Bill Randa, a photographer, started to be disobedient with his camera. The flashlight kept making noise. The giant lizard heard the sound and swallowed him alive. The light from the flashlight went all the way down the throat. Everyone hurriedly opened fire. The lizard fled into the fog again. Nick ordered them to set up their machine guns. At this time, the enemies were hiding, only by the camera flash, to determine the location of the lizard. Then the lizard suddenly sprang out, ate a soldier in one bite. Then it turned around and chased Mason. She quickly ran away. Mason tried to hide under a pile of skeleton. One soldier on the field opened the flame gun, aimed at the giant lizard and sprayed it. The painful lizard flicked its tail and pushed him away. The gas bombs he carried were also thrown out and leaked. It also attracted a group of small man-eating birds. At this time, James had a saber in hand, really a bit handsome. Finally, in front of the oncoming giant lizards, Mason used a lighter to trigger the flammable mist to blow up them to death. After taking care of giant lizards, everyone was still surprisingly frightened, as Nick still wanted to continue to go inside to find his teammate. James tried to stop him and gave him his teammate's name tag. When the lizard has just appeared, there was a name tag hanging on the bones that was spitted out. At this time, everyone was divided into 2 groups. James decided to go south to join the supply team and leave the island. But Nick insisted on terminating Kong to revenge for dead team members. So 2 teams separated. At night, Nick's party laid a trap. They set the mountain on fire and used bombs to attract Kong. Watched everything they did. Kong was furious. He was ready for battle. Kong rushed towards Nick. Nick, who was well prepared, threw the torch into the lake. In an instant, the entire lake turned into a sea of flames. Kong was also submerged in it. Kong used his last bit of strength to escape from the sea of fire, fell in front of Nick, just when they were about to detonate the explosives they bought. Mason and James rushed out. They were here to stop Nick from killing Kong. The 2 parties met with swords and swords. Finally solved by James's speech. The team members defected one after another, because they knew Nick has been blinded by hatred. Suddenly, an adult lizard jumped out from under the lake. Everyone horrifically retreated. Only Nick remained unmoved. He saw Kong was still breathing, so he wanted to set off a bomb to finish. Unfortunately, Nick was crushed to pieces by Kong's fist, and the giant lizard also held Kong down. A group of people run from night to dawn. The adult lizard has been chasing after the survivors. A team member prepared to sacrifice himself to buy some time for teammates by holding up the grenade with the safety released on both hands. He wanted to suicide with the beast. Look at his posture. The giant lizard was cautious and delivered a tactical tail flick, throwing him directly to the mountainside. His sacrifice was for nothing. Meanwhile, Mason climbed to high ground and fired the SSOS flare. The hockey scientists waiting for the response could see. Seeing that the giant lizard was about to catch up with James and the others, Kong was like a god descending to Earth. He dealt massive damage to the giant lizard by a boulder, bringing the team a chance to escape. The giant lizard opened its bloody mouth, biting Kong's arm. It made Kong struggle to remain balanced. The lizard jumped up again and bit Kong's neck. Kong managed to break free and grasp jaws of the lizard with both hands. And luckily, it wasn't enough to break them apart, so he pushed it against the wall and prepared to deliver an elbow strike, but the giant lizard nimbly dodged it. Mason also launched another signal flare at this time. Kong picked up a big tree and used as a weapon. He beat the lizard at the head so hard that caused a buzzing sound. The buffered lizard took advantage of its flexible body, jumped higher with intention to scratch Kong's face, and threw him away by its strong tail. Kong was dumped on an abandoned cruise ship. His body was still entangled in the chains on the cruise ship. The lizard was ready to go up and hit the target. At the dangerous moment, scientists arrive by boat and shoot to attract the lizard attention. This also bought Kong time. Kong broke free from the restraints with force. and used the propeller as a weapon. Threw it like a yo-yo. Stroked the giant lizard so hard that pushed it down. Then he threw it to hit the nearby mountain. How else did the skullcrawler want to resist? Kong delivered 2 punches to its head and finished it with a cut at the throat. The lizard fell down and seemed to be dead. Kong saved Mason and wanted to take a breath. However, the giant lizard was still alive and sneaky attacked Kong. This time, his tongue wrapped around Kong's arm, swallowed the whole hand into its mouth. Kong didn't give it any chance this time. He held down the giant lizard and pulling hard. The lizard's entire tongue and some internal organs were also taken out. This time, the skullcrawler was completely destroyed. Kong put down Mason gently. He turned around and left. Everyone also sailed towards the infinite point. Brave Kong continues to protect his home, but in the future people will find out. Kong on Skull Island will also be under the arrangement of humans, have a life and death showdown with Godzilla,